This one is supposed to be another one of those videos that I just share my test results with no talking at all, but I saw a few comments about my previous Lumix G9II IBIS test video and said it wasn't clear what camera settings I was using, so I thought it's much easier if I just quickly talk about it before I share my test results. I'm testing two cameras in this video. One is the Panasonic Lumix G9II, which is running pre-production 1.0 firmware, and the OM system OM1 is running firmware 1.5. Originally, I want to do some IBIS tests testing the dual IS versus sync IS. Unfortunately, I was not able to borrow the OM system 12-100 f4 Pro lens, so I use the OM system 12-40 lens on the G9II and the Yongnuo 12-35 lens on the OM1. So both cameras just rely on the IBIS and the electronic image stabilization. The lens on each camera is also from another company. I reset all the camera settings before the test. Autofocus is set to full area. Both cameras using auto white balance, aperture priority at f5.6 with auto ISO. The OM1 is using the natural photo profile and Lumix is using standard photo profile. So don't pay too much attention to the dynamic range, as I'm not trying to adjust the settings to maximize the dynamic range on any of these cameras. The focus is mainly about the image stabilization. All the testings in this video is just about the video mode performance. So if you are interested in the photo mode performance, you can check out my Lumix G9II review, which I did the photo mode IBIS and the autofocus test there. After I finished the image stabilization test and when I was picking up the gear, I suddenly thought, hey, I have both cameras with me, so why not do a bit of video autofocus test as well? I did a video autofocus test in my Lumix G9II review, but I was using two identical Panasonic lenses when I did that test, so I'm not too sure if it will negatively impact the autofocus performance on the OM1. So this time I put the OM system 12-40 f2.8 Pro 2 on the OM1 and the Leica 12-60 on the Lumix G9II. As I mentioned before, I did reset all the camera settings before I do all these tests. I enable the human or face detection on both cameras and also set the AF area to the full frame, but otherwise all the autofocus settings are default. So when I was doing this video autofocus test, I noticed the OM1's exposure seems to be much darker than the G9II, probably because of the very bright background, even though both cameras' exposure compensation was set to 0. So my face was quite a bit underexposed with the video shot using the OM1. I'm not too sure if it would affect the result of the OM1, so I moved the cameras around a little bit to avoid having that extremely bright background, and then I redo the video autofocus test again.